16th century. So Mechelen School. So this is the place where it was actually made. So again, this is what the sculpture looks like. This is in the Liebig's house, no? And these are the four that I know of. The one in Cebu, as you can see, nakabihis. And then we have one in the Louvre, one in the Rijksmuseum, one in the Liebig's house. So I've actually seen them on eBay. It's about $8,000, which I think is not so expensive for something that's 500 years old and connected to us. But ever since I wrote about it, I think the prices went up. So next time I will buy before talking about it. But these are the two things. So again, doing Rizal is one thing, but sometimes a historian has to be open to other things. So it is serendipity that makes history move. And in this last year, when I came here to look for Ariadne and the Panther, I found the Santo Niño. So I mean, it's not exactly my research area, but just to see something that is related to it. So I've been asking permission from the friars in Cebu to show me the Santo Niño without the clothing. Siyempre ayaw nila, di ba? But I just want to compare it with this one. But even if they don't want to show it to us, we actually see it. So again, my work on Rizal is actually, it's not really Rizal that I've been doing the longest. I only realized it's Juan Luna I have been doing since I was in college. I was supposed to write a book on Juan Luna's drawings. Two collectors had bought about 400 drawings, which I later found out to be forgeries. So the book project was gone, and the drawings still come out. I knew exactly where they came from, one store in Madrid, and they're still coming out in auctions. But, so I just let them be. So the thing here is, Jose Rizal is there because I teach him. I've been teaching him for 40 years, and I'd like to think that I know him more than he knows himself. But there are certain things. Can you show lang the one with the progression? There's just to show you also, during the pandemic, I had nothing better to do. Ayan, pati yung isa, pati. I have nothing better to do. My website is under construction, so I was telling the chair of NBDB that I'm actually going to put the whole Rizal corpus online, annotated, because I realized that if you Google, there's so many things that come out, but it's not complete. So I want to put the 25 volumes online in English for students to read. And one of the things that I did during the pandemic was this one. I got all the pictures of Rizal from the time he was 12 years old till the time that he became a skull. And I arranged it chronologically. So I'm actually looking for someone who will animate it, so you will see him growing older. So Rizal is one of our most documented heroes. He loved to be photographed, which is wonderful, and he kept everything. So the Rizal that we know is this one, the most famous picture taken in 1890 he wanted this on the El Filibusterismo, but he ran out of money, so no picture. But the Rizal who was in Germany are these two. So this is the time he was here. He was 26, 27 years old. The one on the right was when he was going home to the Philippines. He visited Ferdinand Blumentritt. There are some pictures in the back for those who cannot see this one. Rizal wrote to Blumentritt and said, "You go to the train station," and I ran out of pictures, so I drew myself. So he says, "I did not make myself look better than I really am." So this is supposed to be the closest likeness we have. So he says, "Go to the train station. This is me." So this is Rizal at the time that we know of. The other day, somebody was telling me about, again, they want to study the Rizal manuscripts. I just want to report that I recommended to the German embassy one day. They were looking for a conservation project, and I said, you have to do the Noli, because it was printed in Berlin. And then they said, okay, we'll do that. Then I said, you have to do Wilhelm Tell, because Rizal translated Schiller, so they did that too. Our problem here is that when they took the Noli out of the binding to deacidify and conserve, I don't know why nobody had the bright idea to make high-resolution scans. So when they rebound it, when I looked at it again, it's so tight you cannot see the middle portion. And whatever scans that we have today, I was telling the National Library Director who's here, we should have it done again, because they only scan the body of the text, and what's important are the marginal notes on the sides. But in the 1990s, I was able to use the original. So as you know, the El Filibusterismo is supposed to be twice the length of the Noli. And if you've ever gone to school and you compare the two, you will see it is shorter. So he ran out of money, so he had to drastically remove. And I've counted the pages he has erased. So 30% of the manuscript is gone. So when you look at it, he just erased in ink. So when you scan that, it comes out black. But in the 1990s, I asked for a strong lamp and then I put it under. So I was able to copy out everything that is underneath. So one of my dreams, which has been there for 30 years, is to restore the 30% that he removed. So I keep telling my students, you know, when your children take the Rizal course, their fili will be longer than the one you're reading, and you can tell them to blame your teacher who put it back. No? I'd like to think that if people think that there's nothing on Rizal you can do anymore, I'm actually proof that I've been studying him for 40 years and I still find something new all the time. So it's not just Rizal, and I'd like to think and end with telling people that when we think of Philippine history, we have to go beyond our textbooks, because there is a lot that we can see. And Dr. Amores, who is here with us, gave a talk yesterday on ethnographic collections. She wrote a book about German travelers to the Cordilleras in the 19th century, and she has gone to museum stock rooms to look up the material. So again, people are saying these things should rightfully be in the Philippines, they should be in the National Library, National Museum, and my answer there is, yes, we should have them back, but we don't deserve them yet. The thing is, we must be able, if these things are returned, we should be able to care for them in the same way that they kept them here. And second, if these things were in Manila, much of it would have been destroyed during the Battle for Manila in 1945, would have been destroyed by our weather and humidity, or the most destructive of all, humans. I'm happy that these things are abroad, and now with digital repatriation, scholars will be able to study things even if they are not there. So even as a historian, when I started in the 80s, a Filipino historian had to go abroad to literally get the primary sources. But today, a lot of it is available online. So during the pandemic, I found so much. I always tell my students, there is more to the internet than porn. But porn is more engaging. No? But the thing there is, it makes things easier. But the Filipino historian still has to go abroad because not everything is online. So it's a good start. It helps us. It was better than 40 years ago when I started. So we see many young people here. I'd like to think that you also are the future of what history is. So we will go inside. So again, turn right to see, if you don't want to pay the 8 euros, the Ariadne and the Panther is behind those trees, but the original is to the right in the Greek and Roman section, and the Santo Niño is in the left in the Middle Ages section. So again, thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you